Hi guys, we're going to do us an IFR flight from Monterey, California over to Modesto, California. I'm not going to be talking to air traffic control, so I'll be playing the role of pilot and air traffic control. I've already got an IFR flight plan loaded up in Navigraph. Let's see, where's it at? And I've used SimBrief to route me over there, and I've already had to amend my flight plan in Navigraph here for the approach. So this could be interesting. So the only approaches that they have into Modesto is with a very strong tailwind. So I'm going to attempt a circle to land, and hopefully we can outrun the weather that is approaching and manage to get into the airport. I've got a couple of alternate airports loaded up as well. So that's Sacramento and San Francisco. If we have to divert, we should have the fuel to do it. We are sitting at gross weight right now, just for the information. We're sitting at gross weight. Got a lot of payload. Crap. We are 50 pounds above gross weight, or maximum takeoff weight, but that's 20 pounds of basically fuel that we're supposed to consume on the ground. So the estimated takeoff weight is max. So let me look over this before start engine checklist. I've already went through some of this, so we should be ready to start. We're on the left fuel tank. All right, let's go ahead and get the let's get our switches on. And I'll go over here and refuel our oxygen tanks. First, let me check any active failures. No active failures. Refuel the oxygen tank. Engine condition is at 97%. Let's check our standby gyro here. Instrument air. Standby gyro is working. Okay, let's start. Cowl flaps are down. We have oil pressure. Go ahead and lean the mixture. We'll set the engine RPMs to about 1,000. Avionics coming online. And we'll get a little bit of heat going. Cabin temperature is low, setting at 49 degrees. One thing to consider on this flight is we do have some icing at above 6,000 feet. We plan to fly over at 7,000, but we're flying away from the icing. So maybe we can get out of that area before we encounter any icing, that is. So our lowest flight level along these routes is 5,000. Well, 5,500 here, so we got to stay above that. We filed for 7. We'll see how it goes. Let's get our altimeters in. Altimeter reading for this airport. Let's see, field elevation is 257. Altimeter is 2992. Really? Standard. Field elevation, we're off a little bit there. 257. Let's look at that's going to be right. Here's the elevation at the runway where we're setting. It's 198. So just to reference that, that would be correct. Get our nav pages set up here. Go ahead and back out on the terrain page just a wee bit. Alright. I'm just looking at my checklist here. I always forget to check the annunciator lights. Should have done that before I started the engine, but alright. I'm at the engine run-up portion. Let's go ahead and get a flight plan in. I've had to delete some of these, amended this flight plan. It had me going to Windy, Patty, and then to the airport, but because of the approach into the airport, air traffic control would have amended my flight plan anyways. So, in other words, if I go by my routing on this, it's not going to be entirely correct, so it's already been amended, but I can use it to start with. Need to put the destination airport in. We'll go direct to Sierra, November Sierra. Enter, and while I'm here, I'll go ahead and put that VOR frequency in. And we'll duplicate it down here. Put the next waypoint in. let's see, from Karen. We'll be joining the approach at Volta. So we'll stop there. Go ahead and load the approach. So it'd be RNAV 28 right, circle to land 10 left. We'll just load that. And let's scroll through the flight plan here and see what we got. Yeah, so Karen to the initial approach fix, the intermediate fix, initial approach fix, which actually this is an intermediate fix as well, to the final approach fix. Sheila and hold. So if we actually look, well, we're not going to be able to see it, but that should all be correct now. Okay, let me unpause the head tracker. I've just got SimLink up just to help me with the taxi for the most part. We're going to be taking off 28 left, so we'll have to cross the runway here at Kilo and follow Alpha all the way down. I guess we could take off at November there. We'll just go all the way down to the end. And we have more weather approaching. We have a little break in the weather right here. But let's see, let me check the icing levels again. So there's 2,000, there's 6,000, yeah. And then 10,000, so I don't know, we'll have to watch the temperatures, make sure we don't get into any icing. If we do, we'll have to try to get down to the lowest altitude on the route that we can go to. And hopefully we get out of the cold temperatures and the precipitation. Okay, let's do a few other checks here before we go ahead and taxi. Let's turn the heat down just a touch. Turn the floodlight up just a little bit. That looks good. 7,000 is pre-selected. .278 would be the runway heading. I'm going to bug our heading to 278 because we're going to fly runway heading on departure, but our initial track to our first waypoint is going to be a 055. So there's going to be a right turn. Go ahead and bring up the flight director. Go ahead and do an autopilot check. Go into heading mode. Flight director moves. We engage the autopilot. We observe the yoke moves. Disconnect. Set the heading bug. Left of our heading, flight director is moving. We'll engage the autopilot. The yoke moves. We'll disengage. And we'll set the heading bug. Well, we'll just go back to our runway heading. And we'll check the trim, so we'll go ahead and set the vertical speed. We'll just set it something really high. We'll engage vertical speed. And we'll engage autopilot. Trim is moving. And we'll disengage. Okay. Let me look at my checklist. Alright, we're ready to taxi. Let's go to my map view. We'll cross the runway right up there. I'm going to set the flaps to take off. Taxi lights on. Parking brake is off. You know what I haven't done? Man, we are really tail heavy. We didn't put any comms in. I'm not going to be talking to anybody, but I like the chatter in the background. Where is ground? 20.875.
Delta 1916, monitor tower 125.32.
Departure.
Delta 1916,
NorCal 2715.
Delta 533, follow the 75, monitor tower 125.32. Delta 533.
Forest Tower.
Delta 1379, 5 North uniform.
Delta 1379, ground, roger.
So when I come to a stop, I have to make sure my RPMs, the engine RPMs, I'm producing a bit of thrust with the engine, because as you stop, if you brake kind of hard, the aircraft will rock and want to tip back on to the empennage. All right, we're going to cross the taxi, well, not taxiway, the runway here, so we'll go with the landing lights on, strobe lights
give way to
on.
the outbound 75, then join Foxtrot to the ramp.
Alright, at ramp 1, give way to the outbound 75, then Fox to the ramp.
Do a flight control check here.
Delta 1379, ground, runway 8 right, taxi via Echo and hold short ramp.
Drag our brakes a little bit so I don't have to reduce the thrust much, propeller thrust. That's what we're going to need to keep the aircraft from rocking back onto its tail, essentially. Strobe lights are off, landing lights are off. Normally I would trim a little nose up. In this case, I'm going to leave the trim at 0. Maybe even nose down just a touch. The aircraft's going to rotate very easily, and because we're so heavy, I will probably, I usually rotate at about 75 knots. I'll probably wait till I'm about 80, 85 knots. And when you're at gross weight like this and the center of gravity is aft, you don't want to just jerk the aircraft off the ground. You want the wing to basically fly itself off the ground with very light back pressure on the yoke. And you might want to consider just kind of staying in ground effect for a moment. What can happen is you can fly out of ground effect so quickly that at a slow airspeed, the aircraft will try to settle back down into ground effect. The wing performs better while it's in ground effect. So if you jump out of ground effect too quickly at a high payload or gross weight like this in a light aircraft with an aft CG, you might struggle to keep the nose down, and you would want to grab that trim really quick. Okay, this is Alpha. No, that's November. We'll just go all the way down to the end here.
Ground Delta 805, vector loop for...
We'll stop. We'll do a quick run up. We've already checked the autopilot, so it shouldn't take but a moment. Alright, I'm dragging the brakes, increasing the thrust a little bit until we stop. Okay, now we'll set the parking brake. We'll reduce the power just a touch. Okay, let's get this yoke out of the way. Mixture's full rich. So I'm just going to do the run up and then I will back it up with the checklist. RPMs to 1700. If you've seen some of my other videos, you will know that this aircraft does have failures. And if you don't go through these checks, you may encounter problems in the air. So we're just cycling the prop here, looking for a 300 RPM drop. We'll check the right magneto. Looks good. Back to both. Check the left magneto.
Wisconsin 4282, ground sector, Rapid November.
Magnetos are working. Back to both. We'll check our standby alternator. So we'll switch to our secondary. Turn our primary alternator off. Alternator load. It accepts the load. Go back to our primary. Wait a minute. Nope, we need to take the secondary off first. Secondary comes off. It zeroes out. Go back to our primary. Primary alternator back on. It accepts the load. Voltage looks good. Standby alternator is back online. Check our pitot heat. We have a deflection. And we'll check our prop heat, anti-ice, prop amps. Looks good.
Number 429, we're on taxi, taxiway Juliet.
Prop heat off. And we'll reduce the power all the way to idle. Pitot heat's off. Engine idles. We'll bump the RPMs up to about 1,000. Go ahead and get our transponder in mode C.
Affirmative on the 3-3
and we'll go ahead and turn on the radar. We'll zoom out just a little bit.
Juliet Foxtrot, hold short of runway 1. Juliet Foxtrot, hold short of 1.
All right, let me take a look at my checklist for run up. Flaps are set, trims are set, altimeter set. Departure altitude is pre-selected. Takeoff heading, panel lights. Oil pressure and temperature looks good. Cylinder head temperature looks good. All right, ready for takeoff. Go ahead and set a timer.
Yeah, we are clear on crossing 1 for Kilo 6140.
There's a timer, a flight timer in the transponder here. Which it's already counting because evidently my nose has come off the ground enough for it to think that I'm already in flight. That's weird. Normally it doesn't do that. We'll keep it on this so I can easily see the outside air temperature. So this will be our actual flight timer. What we do need to check is, oops, went past it. 22 minutes, so I calculated 20 minutes for taxi out time, so we're 2 minutes beyond that.
2139 going to 31.
2139 ground, Kilo 1 to the gate.
Let's look at our weight real quick. And so we still have 15 pounds, we're still 15 pounds over. So that'll be okay. We need to burn about 15 pounds before we take off, but I'm not going to.
And the front tail 545, runway 1, taxi via Charlie, cross runway 4, monitor the other side.
Okay.
Charlie, cross 4, monitor.
Park and brake off. Pitot heat is on. Strobe lights are on. Landing lights. Take the taxi lights off. Runway 28 left. Cowl flap is open. Mixture's full rich. Prompts full forward.
Ground Blueship 5608 off of November.
Blueship 5608, ground taxi park.
Taxi park, Blueship 5608.
Alright, I see a 28 left. HSI 28. Magnetic heading of 28. Stop right here. We'll hold the brakes just for a moment. Bring the power up. Cylinder head temperatures look good. We have fuel flow. Everything's in the green. All right, we're ready to go. Start easing the power in to max. Try not to overboost on the ground.
Ground American.
Wind is from the left.
19 ready to push off of gate 20.
Takeoff power is achieved.
American 2119.
Looking for about 85 knots. There's 80,
About 4.
85. No cautions, no warnings. And we'll rotate easy. Tap the brakes. Climb slow. Trimming nose up just a little. A little too much right rudder in there. All right, gears coming up. We're above 100 knots. Flaps are coming up. Looking for about 1,000-foot climb. All right, we'll hit vertical speed mode and heading mode. Little right aileron trim. I'm hand flying, just following the V-bar on the flight director for the time being. We keep the power at max. Pull the engine RPMs back to about 2,600. Propeller RPMs. Still hand flying. Need some more right aileron trim. Want to get the aircraft trimmed out pretty good before I engage the autopilot. We're starting to lose ground contact. You know, should I try to fly, hand fly all the way? I could do that, it's just a lot. Do that occasionally just to challenge myself. Okay, let's go ahead and turn to a heading of 055.
Whiskey Alpha Tower 135.3, good day. 053 Whiskey Alpha, Southwest 878, good day.
Still hand flying. Some strong stuff right out there in front of us. Watching that outside air temperature. We're at 4 degrees C right now.
354 Towers 135.3, have a good 35.3, have a good weekend, 354.
Now let's do a direct to function on the flight plan here. Direct to enter, and we're going to nav mode. The autopilot's in GPS steering mode. Keep our heading boat up in front of us, the HSI. We're in an en route climb, so we'll reduce the power to about 2,500 RPM. Go ahead and set the HSI to 071. Just gonna do that right there. Still hand flying. We can go ahead and turn the landing lights off. A little more aileron trim. We're at 0 degrees C already. So we might get into some icing here in a moment. In fact, let's lower that climb to about 300 feet per minute. Trying to outrun the icing conditions if I can. So I'm still hand flying. I actually have a flight yoke and throttle coordinate quadrant, so that makes hand flying a lot more fun than, say, well, joystick would be nice, but flying off of just your keyboard, that's not very fun.
American 1796, go around United, runway 34 left, taxi via Golf and Whiskey Alpha. Alright, Golf Whiskey Alpha, go around United and 34 left, ramp over 34 right. Yeah, they got arrivals coming in over here, and they're,
Alright, so I don't have any defrost on,
oh yeah, we have numbers to the left.
because if we do encounter icing, I want to know about it. I'm going to pull the power back just a touch.
5504, towers 135.3,
It's hard to get this aircraft trimmed out.
Unit 2031 heavy, ground runway 34 left, taxi to Golf Whiskey Alpha.
34 left, Golf Whiskey Alpha, United 2031 heavy.
Increase the temperature just a bit. All right. Let's see. After takeoff, flaps are up, landing gears up. En route climb.
American 1796.
Mixture propeller, throttle, cow flaps, air conditioner, oxygen is required, engine performance monitor. That's the phase that we're in right now. We have not reached cruise flight yet. So without the defrost on, ice will build up on the windows, so that'll get my attention if we're in icing conditions. Since we are in those temperatures, I will go ahead and turn on the propeller de-ice. And prop amps are up.
American 1796, next right turn.
Still just following the V-bar on the flight director, hand flying. I don't know if I'll hand fly it all the way or not. We are IFR, even though we're squawking 1200.
Southwest 1606, ground runway 34 left, taxi via Golf and Whiskey Alpha.
Okay, and our next course will be 015. So we'll go ahead and set the HSI up for that.
I realized that 30 kilo ago, there was more information coming that way. Hold short of taxiway kilo for now. Taxi up to hold short of kilo for Delta. Sort of
We're at -2 degrees C, so I'm nervous to get too high too quick. All right, coming left, look the heading over.
We're doing 20 kilo Echo, cross 31 right, and get way to the traffic from the right outbound truck.
Roger, and cross 31 right at Echo and give way to the aircraft from the light on which taxiway is.
Singapore 25 Super, are you coming out? Left Alpha, short of Echo Alpha?
I got some weather up ahead.
We are going to, but we will require more.
Could get a little bumpy.
Singapore 25 Super.
Yeah, that was just so low. You're taxiing to Super right, okay? You're going to Super right full run. But I need you to come out of the ramp, left Alpha, short of Echo Alpha. Does that work?
Yep, Alpha is hold short of Echo Alpha. Singapore to Super.
Continue this slow climb. Yeah.
Grand Alaska 452 on Bravo 5811.
It's gonna be hard to brief the approach because I need to be able to see the aircraft and look at this. And that's gonna be kind of difficult to do.
Alright,
So while I'm doing that, I'm just gonna set the autopilot. Autopilot is engaged.
Make it right here on Kilo, cross 31 left, and then the right on Kilo 4, and I believe someone else is talking to...
Okay, what I need to get first is the altimeter for our destination.
Right on Kilo, cross 31 left, right Kilo 4, hold short of Kilo Echo on the other side.
2984.
Alright.
Go ahead and plug that in.
Kilo 4, and then hold short of Echo.
There's 2984.
Bravo, short of Fox. The 474, continue Bravo, hold short of Fox shot.
Approach course will be 288. Set that in nav 2.
Papa 09 Alpha, what's your engine? Oh, okay, continue.
288. This will be decision altitude 291. It's 200 feet above the ground. That's already set. Pull the power back a bit to about 26 inches. Get into some rough air, and we've got icing. Shoot.
We are just checking to Singapore to find.
Propeller heat is on. We'll pull the defrost on to get rid of that ice. Windshields.
Is that Fox?
Deploy 33 on terminal now.
Over 83, runway 21 intersection Kilo Echo. Give way to the Super, taxi right Alpha.
And go ahead and pull the alternate airs on. Okay.
What's up, 474, Echo, cross 31 right.
Number 474, straight ahead Echo, clear across.
Right, the ice on the windshields are gone. We're still at -3.
Double 246, follow the 76 company, cross 31 right.
Pull the power back. 2500. I'm not gonna mess with the mixture because we're going to be coming down here pretty quick. Let's increase the heat just a little bit more in the cabin. Alright, we need to get VNAV set up. I want to be at 3,500 feet at the initial intermediate fix right here. Del Rey. Go down here.
November Charlie.
American 1416, Kennedy, runway 60 right, taxi right Alpha, hold short of whiskey.
60 right, right Alpha, hold short of whiskey, American 1416.
And I want to descend at 1,000 feet a minute. Descend at about 13 minutes. Alright, so VNAV is set up. Just watching the build up on the wings. Everything looks good right now, so we'll stay at 7. Let's see, we're supposed to be outrunning the icing. So here we are. Let's see where the icing is at right now. So this is at 10,000 feet, so the icing should be behind us. Let's check 6,000. And it's behind us at 6. So definitely not going above 10. And we will be going below 6,000 on the approach. So we should be in the clear now. So the weather at our airport destination is winds 140 at 10 knots. Working at 6,000. So currently, we should be able to do a circle to land. Yeah, we're still a 9-knot tailwind on runway 28 right, which we could probably deal with, but so I put in the LPV minimums, where I noted those, should I say? But I'm planning to fly down to 441, which is the minimum descent altitude for circle to land. So, and I will watch for 441 over here, but I have 200 set for the actual approach.
Proceed via Charlie and hold short of whiskey.
Still got the autopilot flying. Cruise checklist. Cow flaps. Should have got that a minute ago. It's alright. Cylinder head temperatures came down. I don't think they cooled too quickly. We appear to be out of the icing. So we'll go ahead and take the defrost off. We'll see if the icing comes back on the windshields. And they are, very quickly. So we are not entirely out of the ice. We'll keep the alternate air on for the time being. Kind of in and out of the clouds. Landing lights are off, pitot heat is on, prop heat is on, fuel imbalance. We need to go ahead and swap tanks. Popping in and out of these clouds a bit. Fuel pump to low, swap tanks, fuel pump off. That is not actually on this checklist, but just about every aircraft I've ever flown where you have to swap tanks, it says turn the fuel pump on. If it has a low or high, usually just turn it to low. So I'm just doing that out of sheer habit. Not going to be leaning the mixture. Could pull the props back to about 2,400 right now. Now we're in the descent phase of the checklist. So first checklist has been completed. Still got a bit more weather up ahead, it looks like. We never swapped over to a tower. You know, I don't have air traffic control prompting me for any of this, so that was tower. This was departure. Do I want to put anything in as far as frequencies? Approach is 129.5. Oh, wait a minute. 9.5, yeah. Whoops. Tower will be 25.3.
Got 3575, clear visual approach, runway 27 right, maintain 170 knots to 5 miles per hour.
And ground control will be 0.7. If I remember to swap to those frequencies. Right to 050.
American 1496, descend to maintain 4000. Descend maintain 4000, American 1496.
Just starting to get into the rain again. We go outside the aircraft to see if any ice is building up on the nose. Evidently not. Well, we got some on the wing there. This is what you would probably call just light rim icing. If it were to get any worse, I would definitely descend. Since we're not going that far, I'll just monitor the situation because we're going to start a descent here pretty quick anyways.
American 1496, turn left heading 360.
Okay, let me take a look at...
left heading 360 and down.
So we will circle to land, runway... do the 28 right approach, circle to land, runway 10 left.
American 1496, turn left heading 300,
and we will
27 right, localize.
plan to exit the runway to the left, find a place to park somewhere over here.
We're on the RNAV, American 1496. I'm sorry, 27 right, final approach course. Okay.
I always feel like this is cheating a little bit, but, you know, tracking yourself here. Let me turn that off. See daylight.
Approach man, please 132.6000. Direct to Erie to reach.
So we'll go down to 3,500, and then we'll have 11.6 miles to get down to 1,800. So we'll go ahead and pre-select 3,500. We already have the altimeter for the destination airport. I think just to challenge myself, I will hand fly once we start the descent. Turn the heat down just a bit.
American 1496, traffic 11 o'clock, 4 miles, company A321, 2,600. Okay, American 1496. American 1496. American 1496, clear visual approach, runway 27 right, maintain 170 knots to 5 miles.
Let me continue to brief this approach.
Okay, clear visual 27 right, and maintain 170 knots to 5 miles per hour, American 1496. 1496,
Give me
contact
local
tower 1
VORs
right
around here.
Tower, American 1496. .32 descend to maintain 4,000.
4,000.
Put Linden in 14.8. Just use it for situational awareness.
6132, flighting 150.
150, 6132.
That'll be the direction we'll be heading in on the missed approach. Would be too beneficial to put a VOR down here in the nav radio. Better to put
6132, descend to maintain
something in that's out here. Just for reference. I don't think the winds are going to shift for us.
About 6132, turn right heading 180.
Right turn 180.
Let's see, what time is it? 15:57 Zulu. So this is an hour old. It's going to change here pretty quick. It's today the 13th. It is. Wow. So this information was observed at 14:53 Zulu,
Right turn 240 to join.
and it is currently 15:57 Zulu. What? Maybe that has not updated. It should update every hour. I know we didn't change time zones.
6132, airport's 1 o'clock, about 10 miles.
Inside 6132.
Oh, wait a minute. What am I thinking? That's correct.
Maintain 170 knots to 5 mile climb.
Good visual 27 right
14:53 Zulu. It just hasn't updated yet. We're beyond that. We're beyond an hour. It should update soon. So we'll have to check that
376 heavy descend to maintain 2,100.
just to see if we can still do a circle to land. According to what it says right now, we can. But
376 heavy, turn left heading 300, join the 27 right final approach course.
so in reality, I would be
30, join the final approach course.
talking to air traffic control right now and making a few requests as far as current weather conditions at my destination, and seeing if they can get some information from the tower, from observations that they have, just to determine whether or not I can continue this approach and plan to circle to land, or how I would get into the airport, and whether or not I would need to swap to an alternate airport. Ironically, the alternates that I chose are actually out this way, right into the weather, because I wanted to keep it challenging. Normally, I would actually choose to go somewhere away from the weather.
Maintain 170 knots or greater, go 5 miles.
Alright, how close are we getting here? We're within a minute. We need to start now. Vertical speed mode.
376 heavy, contact tower 118.5, good night.
And we'll roll vertical speed down to 1,000. Mixture's full rich. I'll go ahead and take the autopilot off. And I'm going to hand fly it the rest of the way. Go ahead and pull the power back.
3007.
Next course is going to be a 021.
Lima 658, 6,000, slowing to 190 knots.
About 6058, roger.
Looking better now.
658, descend and maintain 4,000.
4,000. All 650.
It's difficult to hand fly when you're having to use Navigraph on the computer screen because it blocks, it obscures your view to your primary gauges. Descent checklist. Cowl flaps closed, throttle reduced, mixture fuel wedge, engine performance monitor, cylinder head temperature is fine. We'll try to keep our speed up all the way in. Alright, left to 021 in 3 seconds. Go ahead and bug over. Now the GPS is already sequenced the approach, so I don't have to activate the approach.
710, 2,100, person heading after you, B-minus 658.
And according, let's see here, 288 is the final approach course. So I'm going to go ahead and put that in so I have a few less things to do.
Air 3508, sliding 360, descend and maintain 3,000.
360, 3,000, we can turn forward.
Just following the V-bar right here on the attitude indicator. So when the autopilot is flying, it's a bit more accurate. Need to get down though.
Hello, American 796, we're leveling at 6,000 and 190 indicated.
American 796, first, descend and maintain 5,000.
Okay, we're on the approach phase of the checklist. So if you didn't know, in an aircraft like this, when you're pretty well trimmed out, instead of using the yoke right and left constantly, you just use the rudder. So if the aircraft the bank starts to get off a bit, and I start banking to the right too much, I just give it a little bit of left rudder or a little bit of right rudder. I need to continue down to,
reduce speed to 180.
go ahead and start a turn, continue down to 1,800. We're over the intermediate fix now of Delray. So we're cleared down to 1,800 according to the approach procedures. So we'll just continue that. And have glide slope indication, bugger heading over.
3 o'clock, about 10 miles.
Yeah, we'll go ahead and start slowing a bit more.
About 658, turn right heading 240, you're on the 27 right final approach course.
240, going to 7 right, course B-minus 658.
Now we are below the glide slope, so I can go ahead and activate approach mode. Autopilot. This way it will navigate on the final approach course and it will intercept and couple with the glide slope when we intercept at 1,800. We were quite high, so we're just now reaching 3,500, so we need to get down, but we're still below the glide slope, so we're good. 1,000-foot descent rate is what we're at right now.
3508, turn left heading 300, join the 27 right final approach.
We're going to circle to land, so let me check the weather again, see if it's changed. Still has not changed on here. Oh, yes it has. Oh. Let's bring the weather back up.
No,
it hasn't.
Right heading 180.
Right turn 180, American 796.
It's saying 28 right. The wind is, okay, might be able to stick with this. Might not have to circle to land. So our minimum 291 feet. 291.
American 635, descend and maintain 5,000.
5,000, American 630.
Still hand flying. And circling is going to be 540. What did I say, 291?
Alright,
we're on approach. We'll go with slow down a bit more. Leveled off at 1,800. We'll pull the power back a little bit more so we can slow down.
Airport is 11 o'clock, 2 miles.
Landing lights are on.
Here 35 is 08. Clear visual approach, runway 27 right, maintain 170
Comes 1800.
Good vision, 27 right, 178.5, we're getting 35.
Go with prop to 2,500. Looking for 154 knots.
Turn right heading 240, join the 27 right final.
There we go. Flaps to approach.
240, turn final.
So increasing the power. Get too low.
Contact tower.
As of right now, I'm going to stick with 28 right for landing. The information I'm getting is saying that that will work out just fine.
Approach District 142, level 6,000.
Booster 5142, California 3007.
3007, District 142.
635, turn right heading 180, descend and maintain.
Alright, so gear down.
Right turn 180 down to 4,000.
Set the glide slope. Props full forward.
American 796, we have the field to say.
American 796, clear visual approach, runway 27 right, maintain 170 knots to 5 mile final.
Okay, 170 to 5 mile final, present visual 27 right, American 796.
Alright, guns check, gas on the fullest tank.
240,
Undercarriage is down, 3 green, mixtures full rich, props full forward, and our switches. Get the prop heat off, we don't need that. We need to lower the heat. I already have the approach lights in sight. The wind is from the left, but it should be a headwind.
American 796, airport.
So we're coming up on the, what was it, 540 for circle to land, I believe.
796, clear visual approach, runway 27 right, maintain 170 knots to 5 mile final.
Okay,
Do I need to do that?
Final, present visual 27 right, American
Or no? Let's do it. Alright, there's 540. We'll level off here. We'll get rid of the flight director. It says that that should be a tailwind possibly now, but I was actually hoping to do this circle land, so
Maintain 4,000, District 142.
you stay above 540, and we need to be able to keep the runway in sight. And at these slow air speeds, we need the cow flaps down.
635, descend and maintain 3,000.
3,000.
Maintain about 100 knots here. Still have the runway. Okay, before landing, propeller is full forward, mixture is full rich, flaps as required, landing gear is down, autopilot disconnect.
35, we have the field.
American 635, clear visual approach, runway 27 right,
At
maintain
100 feet
170
below
knots to
what we
5
should
mile final.
have.
Clear visual 27 right, 178 to 5 mile, American 796.
Still have the runway in sight. Go ahead and bug the heading around to the opposite direction. we were to lose sight of this runway, we would fly direct to the missed approach fix on the approach. Alright, looking good. Let's go flaps full. Reduce the power.
796, contact tower 118.5.
We're into the wind at the moment.
Good day. American 796.
A little high. Don't actually fly these circle to land very often in the real world.
Boost 5142, turn right heading 210, descend and maintain 3000.
Looks like we do have a tailwind, maybe. Not much of one.
5142.
American 635, contact tower
Hours to idle.
118.5.
18.5, American 635.
Let the aircraft settle into ground effect. Left rudder.
Mr. 5032, fresh rudder.
Maintain the runway center line. Let the nose come down gently. And we'll start braking. Ailerons full into the
5142,
wind.
flighting 240, join the 27 right final approach course.
There's a
240, join the 27 right final approach.
brake hard, pull back on the yoke.
Boost 5142,
Just to avoid
clear
any
approach, runway 27 right, maintain
necessary
170 knots,
weight
25
on the
miles
nose
an hour.
wheel.
Maintain 170 to a 5 mile per hour, cleared for official approach.
Okay,
27 right,
we'll
wish
retract the
you
flaps. Be sure to not retract the landing gear. I'm going to lean the mixture.
American 452, flighting 340.
And I never did
descend and
change
maintain
frequencies like I figured I would.
American 25.
That's okay.
Delta 208,
Taxi lights are on.
give way to a British Airways from the right.
Delta 208, we'll go.
We made it. Alright, landing lights off, strobe lights off. Any anti-ice, including the pitot heat, off. Stop right here, we'll clean everything up. Flaps
Delta
are up.
471 heavy at
Go
Kilo
ahead and reset the trim.
Delta 471 heavy, runway 228, give way to the company 73 here, taxi left, Bravo.
And I don't need the heat at all,
Give way
evidently.
to a Korean at Julia.
Okay, left,
Okay.
Bravo,
Landing time,
short contact,
16:14.
give way to Korean Air at
Note
Juliet.
that. And it's a pet peeve of mine, I've said this before. I have to delete this flight plan. Just because it resets everything over here and it's not all.
Double 611,
jumping
give way
around.
to the Super Alpha, short of Juliet.
Give way to Super right, or
Alpha, short of Juliet. Is that what he said? Tango Mike. Well, actually, we're Alpha Sierra X-Ray Golf right now. Normally, I put 572 Tango Mike in. I forgot to do that. Wait a minute. Let's see. After landing, cowl flaps are down. Flaps are up. Lights as required. Pitot heat's off. Air conditioning not needed. Cabin heat here. Shut down and securing checklist next.
Double 83, continue out.
Let's just go right over
give way to Korean, please, at Juliet, and then Alpha, Kilo Echo.
I will give way to Korean, then Alpha to Kilo Echo, JetBlue 33.
That was a little challenging. You know, I figured I'd do a circle to land because I have yet to record a video doing that. Kind of show you how that was done. Flopped on it a bit. Went below my 540 feet, which was my minimum descent altitude. Alright, taxi lights are off. Just stop right here and shut down. Alright, parking brake is on. Avionics are off. Check your switches, turn the blower off. Standby alternator is off. Power to idle. We could have turned the alternate air off on the approach as well. That's not something in the checklist, but we were well below icing conditions, so we could have set that back to normal operation. Alright, mixture to idle cutoff. Magnetos to off. Nav light off. Alternator and battery switch. So that's it, guys. So if you didn't know, on a circle to land like that, the 540 feet that's here is to be maintained during the circle to land, and you're not authorized to descend below that altitude until a normal approach and landing can be made on the circling runway that you intend to land on. So I was not quite at that phase, and I accidentally went below that, so we've got pegged during a in-flight test for that, so don't do that. So try to maintain the 540 and maintain it within well, stay above it. It's a minimum descent altitude until your decision to begin a descent below that altitude to make a normal landing on the runway that you're aiming for. And if I'm being honest, I was not at that point, so I shouldn't have went below it. But that's all I got for you today. We'll catch you guys later.